Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me here on Let's Talk Weather. I know it's been a while since I've recorded for a myriad of reasons this summer. I had to take time off, but I'm back. Here it is in September, and what a great day to start recording forecasts again. Yeah, we have rain in spades going on in the local area. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Plus, it's actually going to be two forecasts in one. We're going to talk about our local weather here because there's plenty to talk about there. Plus, I'm going to, at the end, the last half, I'm going to talk about do tropical discussion because we have Florence that right now is on a path to approach and possibly strike the East Coast toward the end of this week, and I'll show you that there is like a train's worth of tropical systems out in the Atlantic to keep our eyes on. I think there are three of them, a three-peat of them happening in the Atlantic right now, and we'll take a look at each one of those and see what the probability is that they will approach here or make landfall somewhere. Just kind of a good little discussion on that because we have reached the statistical peak of hurricane season, which is generally late August to early September. By my calculations, it's usually around September 5th, September 6th, and looking at my calendar, it's the 9th. So we're right in that peak of the tropical storm season, and sure enough, we've got three of them going on right now. So let's dive right into the data. I do want to make a quick announcement. Yeah, that's right. I can do that today. Yours truly is going to be back on television doing some fill-in stints here in Pittsburgh, though, not up in Erie where I used to do it before. But I'll make more details on that available as we get closer to the time period, but it's looking like mid to latter part of October. I will be on one of the local stations here doing some weekend fill-in work. So if you've never seen me on television before, it'll be your big opportunity. But again, more details on that coming up as we get closer to that stretch of dates. Okay, let's move on to the data. I'm going to drop myself out of the way as I usually do and put myself in a corner. Boom. All right. This, if you have hung out with me before, you know that this is our northeast visible satellite. I could zoom this out and show you the U.S., but right now, this is where the hot activity is. It's right here in the local area. It's really hard to pick out anything discernible. It's hard to pick out the low. Believe it or not, the low is actually down here. The surface low itself is down here in Kentucky, and there's a cold front draping off of that. What you're seeing out on top of this is actually a trough. Yes, I said it, a trough. What that means for us is, well, it is extending the instability up into the northeast, and that is making life really interesting for us. Let me bring up my drawing tools here. There we go. So what does that mean? Well, here again. This is where the actual low is, right about in here. And then off of that, you're getting a little bit of troughing. Let me draw it as, I'm going to draw it so it shows up. I drew it as black, it wouldn't really show up. There's actually a trough that extends up like this out of the low. And that's how you can see where the rain is pummeling Ohio, Pennsylvania, southern New York right now. And this is going to continue at least for the remainder of today. Not in its entirety, but for the most part the rest of Sunday. And then into early Monday morning. We do have a bit of high pressure back out here to the west, but that isn't going to be a player for us for a good set of days, unfortunately, so kind of got to deal with that. All right, I'm going to take this out to the radar, and you'll get to see what we have going on. There it is. And that is ugly. We have had plenty of rain this summer. It has been a well above average summer as far as rainfall goes. We had plenty of flooding back in July. The 2 days, I believe it was July 2nd, and then again on the 4th of July, going into the 5th of July. We've had all the flooding in Fox Chapel, Sharpsburg, and it's been a myriad of flood events on the south side as well. But it has been dry over the last probably 7 to 10 days, give or take. But here it is, wet all over again. This is all remnant, actually all of it. But a good chunk of the moisture is remnants from what used to be Tropical Storm Gordon. And it ran into a front and got spread out. And this is what you have remaining of it. And you can see rain extending all the way down here into the south. Good news for us is we have a bit of dry air that will kind of start seeping in as we head out into the next 36 hours. You'll see for later today even, this area here is going to push in. So we will get a little bit of a dry slot moving in from the south and west. Not sure if Pittsburgh specifically will see a whole lot of that just because of what I'm seeing down in here, right? You got a lot of wet weather still pushing in this direction, but it is a good chance that we will see the rain slow down a bit, and we're down to just some sprinkles, some shower activity, but that will go all the way into at least early tomorrow morning. I'm going to drop this back a little bit and give you a little wider view of what we have happening. And what you'll see is that, as I said, this is why I only showed you the Northeast on the satellite. We're the only game in town for the most part. All right? As far as weather is concerned, it is all happening in this eastern third of the United States, outside of a bit of wet weather down here in south central Texas. But as far as we're concerned, up here in the Pittsburgh area, Erie, in through West Virginia, eastern Ohio, once we see this area here clear through, we just have to see how this low, the frontal rain here tracks into the region. May miss us a little bit to the south or slide through, but it should be a pretty fast moving system once it arrives on Monday. Speaking of that, let's go to the models, and we'll show you how this all plays out. Okay, so I'm going to back this up to current time. This, again, is our 3-kilometer NAM, which is a high-resolution model. On this particular website, which I always like to give a shout-out, this is Tropical Tidbits. I think they have really, really good-looking graphs. Actually, I've seen a few other people who write stuff about weather singing this website's praises on the quality of the data and the imagery that they produce. So I really like it here. We're starting off on early Sunday morning, and I'm just going to hit play. And what you'll see is, again, this rain moving through. Here's the front. We'll hit pause. I'm going to go into, here we are. This is 1Z. At this, let me go to 0Z. You subtract 4 in a 24-hour clock, because Zulu time, Greenwich Mean Time, with daylight saving happening, is 4 hours ahead of us. So 0Z on Monday is 20Z, or 8 p.m., or 20 on a 24-hour clock here locally, which means 8 o'clock p.m. So quick calculation, just subtract 4, and that'll give you your local time in the Eastern time zone. You can still see plenty of rain moving through the region here at 8 o'clock on Monday. And I'm just going to slide this forward slide by slide, or hour by hour, and you can see the low now really appearing here in Ohio. And as we make our way into early Monday morning, now in Fox Chapel, where my kids go to school and where I coach speech and debate at the high school, they have Monday off. So not really a concern as far as flooding goes and getting around to school. Now, other areas don't have tomorrow off. You do want to be aware that there is likely to be plenty of road flooding and small stream flooding around. So be aware of that. That could be an issue for early morning. There might even be some delays. I wouldn't be completely surprised if there were some odd cancellations due to flooding, either building flooding or road issues trying to get to some school locations. So definitely be aware of that early on Monday morning before you send the kids out the door. If they do have school, send them out with an umbrella, because here we are at 12Z, subtract 4, that's 8. That tells you it's 8 o'clock in the morning. It is going to be wet still in the local area. So pretty heavy rain, if not moderate showery weather. And then that will eventually kick through so that by the time they're coming home, let's go to 19. This is 3 o'clock. You can see there is not much happening anymore. All right, we're finally drying out. So it's really a morning issue on Monday. That doesn't mean we won't have any rain, but the vast majority of it will be gone, or is expected to be gone, by early to mid-afternoon. Low will just kind of kick through here, but the moisture exits to the northeast. We'll kick this out to 0Z again on Tuesday, which is Monday evening at 8 o'clock. Still looking fairly dry in the local area. And now the low will exit to the north and east. And now dry air builds in behind it. Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock. Finally. Okay. So wet weather for Sunday into early Monday morning, then drying out slowly. That doesn't mean we get rid of all the clouds, but I don't anticipate much rain happening outside of a sprinkle or a drizzle or two from Monday afternoon all the way through Tuesday. And probably Wednesday and Thursday are looking pretty dry as well. So let's focus on a little bit of a different thing. Let's talk about rainfall totals. A total accumulated precip. You're going to love this. All right. So I'm just going to start here. Let's go back to Monday, here we go. We'll go to 18Z, which is about 2 in the afternoon, if memory serves me correct. 18 minus 4 is 14, so on a 24-hour clock, that's 1400 hours or 2 p.m. Look at the swath of pinks. All you have to do is go over here to the scale, and you will see that storm total, we're looking at anywhere from 3, 4, 5, maybe even as much as 6. I see a couple of spots of 7 out here in central PA. But generally around the Pittsburgh, Allegheny County area, we are looking at 3 to 5, maybe as much as 6 inches total. That's a lot of rain. That's a lot of rain. So again, why we need to be mindful of the morning commute and flooding and possible rerouting due to that. So something to keep your eyes on. All right, let's go to the data. Here we go. This is a long-range forecast, 7-day forecast. I'm going to focus here. We got 100% pops or potential for precipitation all the way through into early Monday morning. But look how quickly it drops off. Tuesday, only 22% chance, so maybe a sprinkler too, not much. Temperatures down 74, 74, 78. And then you would think, hey, fall is here, right? Bam, we've had cool days. I mean, it's only 50 some odd degrees outside right now. Now, Mother Nature said, it's been hot all summer. You think I'm done yet? No. 83 on Thursday, 82 Friday, 82 Saturday. Getting back into some sunshine for the upcoming weekend. Partly cloudy, all the way to just sunny on Sunday. Humidity levels, again, somewhat muggy, mid to upper 60s for the dew points. So summer is not done with us yet. No, no, no. We just have a little bit of a break here because of this tropical moisture and the cold front that's moving through. But yeah, Mother Nature bringing back the 80s with the, we'll call it higher than you would want, dew points where it's going to feel muggy all the way from Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, through into the early part of the weekend. It will drop down a bit for the weekend as the sun breaks in and high pressure builds in, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, warm and a bit on the muggy side. Okay, so if all you really wanted was the local forecast, you can stop watching now. I am going to switch now to a more tropical view, and we're going to talk about what's going to happen with Florence, or is likely to happen with Florence, and again, 2 storms behind that. But again, for local Pittsburgh people and local in the Ohio Valley area, that's it for our local forecast here. Let's switch to the tropical scene. Okay, moving on. This is our full disk of Goes East. Okay, Goes East is the stationary satellite about 22,500 miles above the surface of the Earth, and that puts it in an orbit where it spins. It goes around the Earth about the same speed as the Earth spins. That's why it becomes geostationary. So what we have out here are pretty obvious. That's Florence. Here's another storm. I'll give you the names in a minute because I have a map just so you can see them. But that's the one everybody's been talking about is Florence. Back here is Helene. And in between here, I'll show it to you real quick, that's Isaac. Florence, Isaac, and Helene. Okay. This is interesting. When I was setting up to do this forecast, and actually my son is sitting over here playing video games. You can maybe pick up the TV behind us. But he was telling me, because we had him look it up when we were having breakfast, that Florence was going to become a hurricane again. It had been a tropical storm. Sure enough, between the time I started this forecast and now it has been upgraded to a hurricane category 1 again. So it is expected to continue to strengthen from category 1. 75 miles per hour is at 70, the last bulletin, and continue to strengthen from there. What is Isaac? Isaac, 65 miles per hour. That will likely become a hurricane before too long. And we've got Helene back here, also 65 miles per hour. Won't be long before she's a hurricane. We'll see what happens on her. Let's go back to the satellite loop. Okay, so you can see them all moving. They're not moving very quickly, but they are making steady progress. I'm going to bring out the drawing tools again. I don't want to give away too much on Florence, but she is on a path that is expected to run her something like this. And then it'll start to curve a little bit toward the end. But generally, that is exactly where the line, where she was tracking right along where I drew that arrow. Now, Isaac is a little bit different. Isaac is a little bit below. Let me get at the blue. There is what we call a Bermuda high. Okay, and generally it sets up somewhere out in here. You can see the clouds go up. The high is actually back over. Oops, don't do the arrow, Rom. Do this. All right, there we go. The high is actually sitting somewhere over in here. So around a high, you have clockwise rotation like this. And this will determine the direction that your storms go. They just ride on the outer barrier of this high like this. So they can't go into the high, so they got to go below the high. So the farther down you are on this side of the high, the more likely you are to stay farther to the south. That's why Florence will start to curve a little bit like this and end up somewhere in this area of the United States. Isaac will stay below the high, outside of the curvature up here, and will ride along here. And probably, at least based on the current forecast, end up somewhere in the leewards over the next few days. And then Helene most likely will ride a little bit farther north up into and then get turned. But we got days and days to worry about Helene. Let's talk about Florence and a little bit on Isaac at this point. Okay, let me clear that off. There we go. Let's move to the National Hurricane Center. And there it is, latest on Florence. Let me bring up their specific forecast. And you can see, got it at hurricane, then it becomes a major hurricane, and then it has it arriving landfall somewhere in southern coast of North Carolina, right around the Wilmington area, which is a near and dear place to my heart, because my family vacations down in that area every year. I have a really good friend of mine, KB. What's going, KB? You can give a shout out to her. Lives in the Burgaw area, which is pretty much right underneath here as well. And then one of my coworkers on vacation this week in Myrtle Beach. Can you see why I'm doing the hurricane stuff today? Yeah, she's going to be down here vacationing in Myrtle Beach. So I've already told her, think about leaving early. All right, so that's the path that they have it on the as far as the path. Let me turn on the forecast line. You can kind of see that there. I'll turn off the wind field too. So that's what we're looking at. This is basically an amalgamation of multiple different computer models is what they look at, and they tend to skew towards one that seems to be handling the situation best. I'm going to go through a couple of the different models, actually about 3 or 4 of them, and you can kind of see the difference between them, and you can see why we've got this particular forecast that they're using. All right, we're going to go to here. Actually, let me back up real quick. I want to go to Isaac, just while I want to finish up on Isaac. See, this is what I was drawing on the satellite. It is expected to become a hurricane, and look how it rides straight to the south. That does not mean Isaac will stay on that westerly run for its entire lifespan. It may curve over here to the east. I actually expect it to curve somewhere here, maybe into the Jamaica area. But we're going to keep our eyes on Isaac, as that's a long-run hurricane that's expected to have life for a good stretch. Now, depending on, they got it weakening here. That may be because of running into some instability in the atmosphere. We'll see what happens there, but definitely the leewards. And if you're not familiar, I did forecasting for a Caribbean television station for a good several years, and did plenty of forecasting for the leewards out here when they had hurricane arrivals. So definitely keeping our eyes on the central Lesser Antilles, the Leeward Islands out here, as we go through the next few days. All right, let's move to the models. We're going to start off here with one called Icon. Starting Icon, this is Monday evening. Watch, here is Florence down here. Watch how she progresses. Go, go, go. Starts to turn toward the end. Now, this particular model has it hitting up in the Hatteras area. You can see the Outer Banks, the OBX. Yep, right there. And that's where this particular model has her striking. I'm going to go to a different model, just so you can kind of see what we have going on. We'll use this one with Florence. There we go. This one has it closer to where the National Hurricane Center is predicting. This is down in the Wilmington area in the southern coast of North Carolina. This is on Friday morning. This would be 6Z or 2 a.m. Let's go to a different one because I have lots of them available. Florence. Look at that. a little bit farther to the north, closer to what the icon shows, but a little bit farther south. Okay, I'll push this forward. You can see how it progresses. There it is, making landfall on the Outer Banks here, and then moving up inland into the Norfolk area. Okay, let's do one more. Let's go down here to, what am I on? I'm on GFS. We'll use HMON. There we go. Okay, I'm going to back this up so you can get to see a look at where it has it striking. This one, that, are you watching, Tanya? This is Myrtle Beach. Okay? So, we have a stretch right now of about 4 different computer models ranging anywhere from Myrtle Beach all the way up into the central part of the Outer Banks and the Norfolk, that area up there, Carolina Beach, farther up the coast in North Carolina. So anywhere from northern South Carolina through northern North Carolina has to stay vigilant. All right, this storm is coming. It's coming with some oomph. I will show you. Let me go back to the tropical storm map. I want to go back to Florence. At this time, at landfall, all right, the last forecast I saw, I can actually bring up the forecast discussion here, had landfall at about 125 knots. 120, 125. Okay, if you're wondering what that is in miles per hour, it's about 135 to 140 miles per hour. That'll get it done. Okay, so we definitely want to stay vigilant for all my friends who are down there vacationing, living, whatever. This is no joke. This storm is coming with some oomph, good news is I think the models have a pretty good beat on it. But again, there's still enough time where it can turn early. It may not turn. There's a good swath of area where it could make landfall, but definitely anywhere from, say, South Carolina all the way up through in the Virginia area needs to be very, very mindful of what's going on. Okay, that is all I have for now. I know it's been a long one, but I told you, I warned you at the top, we were going to be in two different forecasts, and that's what's happening at the time period. I'll make updates to this as we make our way through the week, hopefully, if everything works out. I was supposed to have 2 different soccer games to attend today. My daughter's game and my own game both were canceled due to rain. That's how much it's raining. We were going to be on turf fields, and it's still too wet. That's the local scene. We'll leave you at that. All right, everybody, thank you for joining me here on Let's Talk Weather. Again, I'll bring more updates about me doing some local forecasting here in Pittsburgh coming up probably in the middle part of October. And for now, thanks for joining me, and come back and watch again.